Okay, everybody, I think we're going to get started here. I think we've got our speakers ready. Call me old-fashioned, but I think the best way to start this off is with the national anthem. So if you could ask everyone to stand up, take off your hats. Thank you. Wow, thank you everybody for a phenomenal turnout. My name is Josh King. I am the lucky one who gets to MC the event. I am the face of the representation of the community that all pulled together a few months ago and decided, man, we should really do something for the people that keep us safe at night, keep us safe in the day, in the dead of winter, whenever we're all sleeping and warm, and we hear a siren go by our house and we just wonder, I hope everybody's okay. And we all know that people are in those police cars. People are in the fire trucks. People are manning the station at the correctional facilities as well, taking care of people that we know and love. And that's not lost on the community. So when we started saying, what could we do? We thought, what better opportunity to have almost all of Oregon's finest here in one spot, meeting each other, meeting the community, sharing their kids, sharing a meal, and hanging out with each other. And I think from a cultural standpoint, we're, as a community, as proud as we can be of you. And it means a lot to have you guys here. In setting this up, the response from your leaders has been fantastic, and willingness to stand up, introduce themselves, tell the community that's not really aware of what you guys do all day and night, to have a chance to come up and recognize you. We're going to start out with some introductions. We're lucky enough to have our village president, Randy Glish. He jumped on this invite immediately and said, absolutely, I'd love to talk about the fine people, men and women who represent Oregon. So I'm going to turn it over to him in a second, and then we'll have several of the people, some of you know, come up and introduce themselves. And the goal is to make everyone aware of who is manning the watch every night on behalf of us. So keeping our kids and our families safe, especially in the last year and a half where not only COVID, but other societal events have maybe taken a little bit of luster out of your job, and we want to bring that back. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our great village president, Randy Glish.
All right, good evening. So I want to say I am having a ball being village president. I was a trustee, but I am having a great time, and it's great to see all you folks here. It's my pleasure to be here. I have some notes, and I have my glasses because I didn't want to mess anything up. So it's great to be here and honor and celebrate those who protect us and support us, our local police, corrections officers, and our local fire EMS workers. The exceptional, unwavering job that our first responders have done during, especially COVID, folks. I was the chair of the fire district, EMS fire district, and I can tell you firsthand that we should be so proud of what all of our first responders did during COVID. So it's been outstanding. No interruption in their performance, and only professionalism throughout in keeping us safe. And I would just like to say to all first responders, thank you for serving all of our communities. And we need to remind ourselves, I think, each and every day how lucky we are to have such great first responders to keep us safe and to respond to any situation. So one of the things I learned when I first became president, somebody told me, good advice, keep it short because nobody wants to hear a politician speak. But Josh and I did come up with something, and so what we'd like to do is we'd like to have anybody who is a first responder to stand, their family, or if you have been a first responder, to stand up as well. And we would like a big round of applause for all the folks standing. So, let's do it. All right. Thanks again, and go Oregon. We love the village.
It's interesting because tonight's Thursday, and it's not supposed to be Friday night football on a Thursday. Just about a mile away, we've got some kids warming up to play DeForest, my son being one of them. And it's unfortunate, but he was glad I was here doing something that was meaningful for the community, even if I missed the first half of the game. He's number 44, by the way, and the leading tackler. Things you need to know, right? Having said that, I think one of the interesting concepts that we talked about when the community was pulling this together was like, we know we have a corrections facility here, and we know we have people who work very hard, but I didn't know anything about them. And correctional facility is not just a place where people go and then you kind of forget about them. It's not some building with 4 walls where people just go to live. There's a lot that goes on there. And so I wanted to bring forward Mr. Clinton Bryant and Mr. Paul Ninneman from the Oak Hill Correctional Institute to introduce them and their team and tell you a little bit about what they do.
Hello, my name is Clinton Bryant. I'm the new appointed warden at Oak Hill Correctional Institution. Mr. Paul Ninneman is the deputy warden. First of all, I want to thank you, Joshua, for reaching out to us and recognizing first responders. In the correctional environment, we don't respond like you all do in uniform, whether you're going to a police response or a fire response or a medical run. Our job is a little bit more different behind the fence, and we like to think that we do our part to try to keep the community safe. We have 270 staff members behind the fence, everyone from correctional officers to nurses to doctors, social workers, teachers as well. But we like to at least be a part of the community that is trying to keep our citizens safe, but also be a part of the Oregon community. And I want to thank you guys so much. Thank you again, Joshua, for putting this on. But to you, especially first responders, for the job that you do that sometimes go absolutely thankless. Sometimes you're the more recognizable people. And just to at least extend my gratitude, being a police officer at one time before in my career, I just want to thank you guys, because sometimes people don't give you the credit that you're due. But also to my correctional team that are here, thank you guys for going in every day and facing some danger that, some people don't know about, but you do it anyway. And you come into work, but you also go home to your families and try to be a part of the community that you're in. So thank you all. And for the people that came out, thank you guys.
Yeah, so what maybe a lot of you don't know is the education that goes on in their facility to take some of these kids who've had a bad lot in life and provide them with the ability and the options and the skill sets, so when they do exit and enter back into the kind of the world they were in before, that they can compete and they can thrive and become a part of our great community and society here. So they do so much more than what I even thought. And so fantastic gentlemen taking those jobs on and doing the things that we don't know much about. Really appreciate it. maybe a little bit more closer to home and what you guys see here with the fire trucks and things. For those of you, anybody who here is from Brooklyn area, you raise your hand. Yeah, so a lot of folks here from Brooklyn. That's great. The folks I'm going to introduce next are the Brooklyn Fire and EMS leaders, Mr. Justin Wissick and Chief Mason Barber. They will come up here. Come on. Again, when I brought this up to them, they were absolutely excited about coming here and introducing themselves and having their team recognized. So I appreciate it. Even maybe stepping up to the mic is not what everybody wants to do, but I appreciate it.
Wow, that's a lot of people. That's great. So, like Josh said, my name is Mason Barber. I am the fire chief of the Brooklyn Fire Department. This is Justin Wissick. Introduce yourself.
Justin, EMS chief. Pretty new at this, but it's been a great year. I'd like to thank Josh, his team, for putting on the event. Again, just like Warden had said, really, we may respond to these calls, but truly it's the community that we're doing this for. So it takes all of you to keep us going at this. Also like to thank our guys that are here. We've got, we wrote them all down here. So Chief Barber and I, again, Assistant EMS Chief Corey Lloyd, and Assistant Fire Chief Leaf Spildy is over there as well. Perfect. Will Jackson, firefighter on the fire department. Charlie Bramish, firefighter. Elizabeth Wissick, my daughter, EMT, a couple years. My wife Misty, who just recently joined the fire department, just started class, so that's getting the whole family drug into this. Doug Dietzen, EMT with Brooklyn EMS as well.
So again, thanks Josh for having us here. Yes, like Josh said, it sounded like a great event. This is really fun. I'm really glad to be part of this. The Brooklyn area is very lucky to have such a great group of volunteers. We are a fully volunteer fire department. We also work very closely with the Oregon Fire Department. The Oregon Fire Department is very impressive. We have a very good operation. We train together at times. They have an excellent group of members. So the community is very well covered as a whole, and we are very lucky to have the coverage that we do. So thank you all for being here tonight.
So obviously a lot of thanks being given out, and that's fantastic. I don't know if most of you who aren't in one of these groups understand how much turnover and how hard it is to keep officers and fire and EMS folks here. It's a very competitive landscape, and part of what you all showing up here is doing is giving everyone here a view of what the community that really supports them at night and day when we're not really thinking about it, but you're glad they're on the watch. It makes it a point where this kind of thing will get out and the communities will see what Oregon is doing, and we can be a destination city, a destination town for police officers who want to stay here for their career, raise their family, go through the education system, and hopefully contribute in their own way. So that's part of what you all are being here, and people who are driving by wondering what the heck 250 people are sitting in Triangle Park are here for. They'll find out, and I think this is a great opportunity. So the gentleman just gave a little bit of preview of the next presenter. Chief Glenn Lensmeyer and I have been talking on and off for about 2 months now with opportunities and getting his equipment out here, hopefully. Did you guys all see that robotic track thing? It looks like something that came off the moon. That's a phenomenal piece of equipment, and I'm glad he brought it out because most of the kids are playing on it. I'll be there later. But I'd like Chief Lensmeyer to actually present and talk to you guys a little bit about what he does, and he does a phenomenal job. I didn't realize the scope and reach that he had through the greater Oregon area and how many people he actually serves. So hopefully he'll share that with you. It'll be a surprise to many of you, but it's a huge job, and thank you a lot, Chief.
Thanks, Josh. I get used to this mic here. So, in script-wise, we'll see how far the script goes. For those that don't know me, I'm Glenn Lensmeyer, Fire Chief here in Oregon, and it's almost, I told Captain and Antoniowicz here just a couple days ago. About 5 years since Oregon's brought me in. What is the Oregon Area Fire and EMS District? We are made up of 3 townships, the town of Dunn, the town of Oregon, the town of Rutland, and of course the village of Oregon. We serve about 17,000 people currently. We've got about 46 square miles, 47 square miles, and as Josh pointed out, we've got an ATV back here with the tracks that we can get across swamps and all of the different maneuvers and ventures that we might have any one day, that kind of stuff. Just a wide variety of different things. Of course, in a calendar year, the scope of what Oregon currently puts out, this Oregon Fire and EMS District, is about 1,700 calls. 1,700 calls. Of that 1,700 calls, about 1,100 or so are looking for EMS opportunities where we need to go out and transport, take people back to medical facilities and those kind of things. The remainder of that is really close to about 700 calls where a single engine company and or more equipment needs to come out of the fire district to be able to deal with structure fires and all of the different things that we have, you name it, from tornadoes going through, high winds, structure fire mishaps in backyards, lawnmowers tipping over, just a whole variety of different things that we need to have in our scope and be able to handle each and every day. I think one of the biggest things that I want to get out of tonight is this is an honor of being here, and I appreciate Josh and the group and everybody putting this together and coming forth to be able to represent the fire district. But this event is really not about this fire chief, it's about the people that I'm going to call up next. And I know a lot of them ain't going to want to come up here with me, but I want to really point these people out and have them stand behind me, because it's easy for me to be the fire chief when I have the dedication of the men and women here in Oregon and the mix that we have to make this happen. And before I call these people up, keep in mind we are a combination operation, meaning that we have 8 full-time people, and the remainder of our 45 or 46 that are on staff are paid-on-call, paid-on-premise folks. Those people come from the walks of life in this Oregon community or the greater area. They have different jobs. They may be electricians, they may be bartenders, they could be all kinds of different things. I'm losing my scope of where everybody is in their occupations, but at the end of the day, they come and at a moment's notice, they drop everything that's going on and be able to help us out and be able to minimize these incidents and provide the services that we do. So I'm going to rattle off a list here, and before I rattle that off, I want to give you, I wanted to go out, I've been doing this for a long time, but I really wanted to look at the definition of a responder and what a responder really does. So a definition, according to the computer this day and age, is a person who reacts quickly and positively to a threat or an incident. Keep in mind, as I call these folks up, these are the folks that, in a minute's notice, we are on a vehicle, an ambulance or a fire truck, and we're going someplace. So, again, I like to have my personnel and their families up because, again, without the family unit, without the family support, the Fire and EMS District is, again, 8 members, 8 employees that we cannot operate. We have to, again, incorporate all those folks that want to do the training and all that other kind of stuff. So this is a random list. We'll see how close they have it. Casey Jesberger and his wife, family, come on up, please. Mr. Gene Berman and his wife, Marty, come on up. Michael Venden and family. Tony and Lisa Antoniowicz and family. Tom Lehman and family. Nick Severson. Chris Backus and family. David Danks. Mr. Brian Birkin and family. Dan Harms and family. Robert Smith family. Brandon Dietz and family. Our medical direction team, Dr. Casey Cronenfeld and her family. Logan Schultz, Miles Kading and family. And here's the scary part. This is all that's on paper. There's probably somebody out there that is connected to me. Raise your hand so I can make sure I got you covered. Christina Lutz and Oliver, probably our soon-to-be service dog here in the fire district. So again, each and every day, keep in mind, let's go back to this, the staffing and how we operate here. We've got some paid staff, which is usually about 2 folks on duty. Then we've got some interns that are part of our operation and are here tonight, that have a 3-year internship, paramedic, firefighter, and all that stuff that goes along with it. Our biggest problem in Oregon is that we are say a B team in the minor leagues, and people get hired out of our operation quite extensively. This last year, we've got people throughout the state of Wisconsin that have been hired, probably 8 different departments. We have a lot of young folks. Again, we've got RNs in this bunch, and just a whole bunch of people that make this operation for what it does each and every day. And again, as the fire chief here, it's really easy to be that person when the support from the family is there to let these folks basically Christmas Day, New Year's Day, take the time, take the place, wherever it may be. Some of us have been doing this for 30, 40 years already, or really close to it. We understand that. New people coming into it, it is a huge underlying issue that people have to understand, that this is what we have and this is how we work. As Oregon continues to grow, we will build out more of our career staff, probably see other operations, you know, probably a satellite station and all the other stuff that goes with it, with the population and all that kind of thing. But I cannot be more prouder of the people here, the men and women, doing 1,700 calls a year. And again, this is about probably half of our operation. The other half couldn't be with us tonight because they're in school, different things, or live out of the community and other family involvements and that kind of stuff. But it's really easy to be the fire chief when we have the dedication from this folks to be able to do this stuff each and every day. And it's, again, honor and privilege to be the fire chief and be able to lead these men and women here. In closing, I'll just finish up with the definition of a first responder, the responsibilities that my men and women have to think about each and every day as we go out there. Again, the term first responders refers to those individuals who in the early stages of an incident are responsible for the protection, life, preservation, and evidence of an incident. This is what this team is prepared for to do for you, the Oregon community, each and every day. We greatly appreciate the honor and that sacrifice that we put together for the Oregon community, and looking forward to do many, many more years. Again, thank you, Oregon.
That was fantastic, and obviously see a huge team and a huge family. I think one thing we don't talk about necessarily is that every night when somebody gets called out at 2 or 3 in the morning, there's also someone left in bed that has to worry about what their spouse is running off into. And it's a privilege that we have in the community to not have to worry about that. We can wish the best for these teams and hope they're safe, but somebody else really has their heart and mind in when they lay their head down at night, when somebody's not next to them when they should be. So again, huge gratitude goes out to all the fire and EMS folks. All right, so to wrap it up, I'm happy to introduce Chief Jennifer Pagenkoff. She has a fantastic team here. She's been as dynamic as anyone I've met, taking charge and leading an organization. And we really have the finest and her team, and I know she's got aspirations to bring the community in tighter, not just talking about things, but actually bringing people in of diverse views and mindsets. And she's really what's right about our community. And her team is about as bright-eyed and excited about things as I've seen a police force or any force protection service. So with that being said, I think we have an interesting night, and I'd love to have Chief Pagenkopf. There she is.
All right, can you hear me okay? Excellent. So, again, my name is Jenny. I'm the chief here at the Oregon Police Department, and this is my number 2, Lieutenant Chad Schaub. I definitely could not do all of what I do without this guy. And my support services supervisor, Rudy Tracy's probably hiding in the back somewhere. Oh, there she is. So normally we do awards at the village board meetings, but I couldn't think of a better location to do our awards this year. In fact, last year we had to do them online, which just lost its true meaning. So tonight we're actually going to start this speech by giving out some awards to our staff over some work they've done this last year. So if I could first have Ted Gilbertson come up. So some of you may know Ted. We recently posted a video about him on Facebook. He's one of our bicycle officers, and he is king of dad jokes. The guy is phenomenal. So the award he's getting tonight is not for dad jokes, but certainly something even better. It's an Exceptional Service Award. Now this award is given to a recipient who distinguishes themselves in a particular incident by exemplary actions taken while performing one's duties. This includes judgment, initiative, courage, teamwork, investigative skill, and immediate recognition and response to law enforcement activity. So the certificate reads, on September 2nd, 2021, for a member who distinguishes himself at a particular incident by exemplary actions taken while performing his duty. In many interactions, Officer Gilbertson has shown empathy and compassion. An example of this was during an interaction that he had with a child who stole food from a store because he was hungry. Officer Gilbertson purchased a meal for the child and provided helpful resources to that family. He showed excellent judgment and initiative during this incident, which reflects the department's core values. Thank you, Ted. The next one we'll have come up is my night shift sergeant, Cindy Niehaus. People often ask me if she's left the agency because they never see her anymore. She's actually running third shift, making sure while our community's sleeping, she is out there making sure it's safe. So, Cindy is receiving a life-saving award. This award is given to an employee whose actions directly contributed to the saving or significantly prolonging a life. And when we give these awards, we certainly acknowledge our wonderful partners in fire and EMS with Oregon and Brooklyn. The certificate reads, on September 2nd, 2021, for her outstanding police performance in the saving of a human life and the display of initiative, capability, and attention to duty, thereby earning respect and admiration for herself and the Oregon Police Department. On November 16, 2020, at approximately 5:43 a.m., Sergeant Niehaus responded to a report of a person not breathing and pulseless from a drug overdose. Sergeant Niehaus provided life-saving measures by administering medical aid, and through her actions and the actions of other Oregon Police Department staff, the person was revived. I couldn't fit it on the certificate, but there was actually a second person that went down at that very same call. If it wasn't for her observations, that person may not have survived as well. So I want to thank you, Cindy, for your work. So the next person is Brian Lehman. He's one of our day shift officers. He could step up. Brian Lehman's probably still eating food. So as he's walking up, he's also receiving a life-saving award. This award is given to an employee whose actions directly contributed to the saving or significantly prolonging a human life. And before we give him the certificate, I believe Donna is here and would like to speak. This is a family member of the gentleman that Officer Lehman saved the life.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Just to tell a little bit of what happened that morning. It was a typical summer morning. We get up early and go for a walk before work. But on Tuesday, July 28th at 6:30 a.m., my husband Patrick was all ready for work and was sitting in the recliner for a few minutes before we both had to head out. As I walked into the living room, he told me he was feeling lightheaded. I walked over to him to check on him because he did have a heart condition. And as I walked over to him, he began to convulse and fell back in the recliner. I quickly called 911 as this had never happened before, and I knew immediately something wasn't right. While I was on the call with the dispatcher, Patrick came to, and he wanted me to cancel the call. Well, fortunately, the dispatcher stayed on the phone and said help was on the way, and he told me to go and open the front door. Within minutes, the Oregon EMTs and police arrived. Patrick was pushing back to the responders and saying he was just fine and wanted to go to work. In fact, I had to take his car keys away from him. He stated he was not going for an ambulance ride that morning, or so he thought. So at this point in time, they had taken all the information and they were wrapping up. And they convinced him to do a few more vitals before they left our house and some tests. Well, as they were doing the vitals, they asked him to walk down the hallway. It was at that point in time, he started convulsing again and collapsed to the floor. And the next thing I know, the EMT stated he had no pulse and was starting CPR. I was very nervous because no one was there. I immediately ran out of the house to try and find someone, and Officer Lehman was just getting into his vehicle. And I said, we need help. And he came running back in and he started compressions. He worked on Patrick for a long time. I think they shocked him 4 times, and he continuously did the compressions, and he was not going to stop until they got a pulse. At that same time, a lot of things are going through your head. You're very nervous, and I just want to send a shout out to Officer Hatfield, because when he knew the call wasn't canceled, he came back to the house and he immediately made sure that I was taken care of, that I had someone there for me. So thank you to him. He also, as Officer Lehman, I think it was probably 20 minutes he did CPR. It was a long time. An hour? Yeah, it was a kind of a blur for me, but I was fortunate that Officer Hatfield kept trying to divert my attention because I continuously just wanted to be over there, and I kept praying for God to bring Patrick back. So Officer Hatfield even offered to go get my son. I was trying to reach my children, and so it's just nice to have that comfort and support for me while Officer Lehman and others continuously worked on Patrick. So after all of that commotion, they finally did get a pulse, and Fitzrona came and did an intercept. And in true Patrick form, he wasn't just going to go to St. Mary's. He coded 4 more times on his way to St. Mary's. So I got to St. Mary's Hospital, and my children were there too, and it was a pretty grim prognosis. But the medical team at St. Mary's put him in an induced coma, and 3 days later, he came out of the coma, came off the ventilator. He knew me, he knew the kids, and he is here today. After he came out of the coma, I did put a post on Facebook saying, we truly are blessed to live in a great community with caring people, and it was so wonderful that he came out of everything. and he's back there today. And special thanks to Officer Lehman, he's back to work, and we were blessed with another grandson in March. So God had other plans for Patrick, and thank you so much, Officer Lehman.
Thank you, Donna. So as it states on the plaque, on September 2nd, 2021, for his outstanding police performance in the saving of a human life and the display of initiative, capability, and attention to duty, thereby earning respect and admiration for himself and the Oregon Police Department, on July 28, 2020, at approximately 6:37 a.m., Officer Lehman responded to a report of a community member having a seizure. When he arrived, the community member collapsed, did not have a pulse, and was not breathing. Officer Lehman provided life-saving measures by giving chest compressions, and through his actions, the person was revived. Thank you, Officer Lehman. All right, the next one up is Kevin Thompson, if you could come up. As he's coming up, I will say he's receiving an award for outstanding service. This award is given to a recipient that has sustained a high level of service which demonstrates professional excellence. The recipient whose daily work indicates an awareness of departmental operating philosophy, goals, and objectives, and an exceptional competence at fulfilling these objectives. Certificate reads, on September 2nd, 2021, for the sustained delivery of high level of service which demonstrates professional excellence. Due to short staffing levels, he willingly moved immediately to an alternate shift for an extended period of time, even though it created a significant hardship on his personal life. Officer Thompson has continuously highly productive officer and takes initiative, and he has outstanding work ethic. Officer Thompson is a great representation of the department's core values. We'll have Officer... All right, if we could have Officer Coleman come up. And you might as well bring your partner if you want. And then the Optimist Club. So Officer Coleman was awarded the Officer of the Year Award. We team up with the Optimist Club, who is a great partner in this community with us. This award is given to one officer for sustained service and teamwork. This award is given to an officer whose fellow members of the Oregon Police Department nominate him or her for the award. The Oregon Brooklyn Optimist Club joins us in recognizing the officer, and the Optimist Club provides them with a beautiful plaque.
Well, it's my great honor to be here tonight and to recognize Officer Josh Coleman, Officer of the Year. And what's really special about this award, as Jenny mentioned, is that he's nominated by his fellow officers. So that's super cool that you're so highly thought of by your coworkers and your peers. And this is what they had to say about you, Josh. Josh is a leader for the younger officers in the department, especially those on his shift. Josh does a good job educating and teaching the other officers, especially with complex situations. You're able to break things down in a way that they can understand it. Josh goes above and beyond when helping citizens in the community. So one thing that's really special that Josh did during 2020, during the COVID pandemic, was he actively volunteered to read children's books, and then those readings were posted online for the community to see. So that's just really special. Josh is also very proactive on the night shift and is constantly patrolling the neighborhoods, you know, on the lookout for suspicious activity to keep us all safe. And I just, you know, that's really great, Josh. So congratulations to you for Officer of the Year for the Oregon community.
As Mary Kay mentioned, we're with the Optimist Club, and I have the Optimist Creed. This wasn't part of the script, but I have the Optimist Creed here. And as we think about thanking everybody here, I want to read this creed, because I actually want you to close your eyes and just listen to it, because it can be very powerful. Promise yourself to be so strong that nothing can disturb your peace of mind. To talk health, happiness, and prosperity to every person you meet. To make all your friends feel that there is something in them. To look at the sunny side of everything and make your optimism come true. To think only of the best, to work only for the best, and to expect only the best. To be just as enthusiastic about the success of others as you are about your own. To forget the mistakes of the past and press on to the greater achievements of the future. To wear a cheerful countenance at all times and give every living creature you meet a smile. To give so much time to the improvement of yourself that you have no time to criticize others. To be too large for worry, too noble for anger, too strong for fear, and too happy to permit the presence of trouble. It's a very powerful creed, and it really belongs to everybody. So if you ever want to hear about things you can strive for, just look it up sometime. It can be very powerful. It's one of those things that belongs on your refrigerator. So again, Officer Coleman, thank you.
As I start my speech, so we're now done with the awards part of this, but as I start my speech, I'd like my members of the Oregon Police Department to come up here with me, please. Come on up. That includes my non-sworn wonderful ladies. Please. And as they come up, first of all, I want to thank the organizers of this event, Josh and Malia King, Todd and Beth Malcook, Sarah and Jim Schleim. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Rob and Kim Palmer, Susanna and Chris Haig, Bobby Head, Steve Kaya, and many others. This is amazing. Thank you. So before we came over here, my staff and I, we had a meeting and we covered a few things, but one of the things I told them was, for a long time, this police department has been about one individual. And that is going to change. That it has to change. And for this very reason, these are amazing people. So it's not about one person, it's about us as a whole, about us as a team. When I was promoted as chief about mid-2020, the only place I wanted to be chief was in Oregon. The staff is amazing, and the community we get to serve is like no other. As I stepped in as chief, that meant new leadership took over, and we all had to go through that hard change. To add to the leadership change, right away the pandemic hit, and then on the heels of that, social unrest hit. What did the pandemic look like for us at the Oregon Police Department? For us, we immediately went into strict safety protocols to keep our officers, staff, and the community safe as they interacted with us. We had situations where officers were directly exposed to COVID-19 by a contact they had with someone who needed police assistance. There were also times that we had where people would claim to have COVID and either try to spit on us or cough on us to try to put fear into our officers. All of these were scary situations and added fear to our officers and their families as they went home, and hope to God they did not pass this along to their family. What did civil unrest look like to policing in Oregon? We had a special events team, and some of those officers are up here. They actually went up to Madison and they tried to help. I tell you, those nights I didn't sleep at all. That was the worst feeling, knowing my officers were up there. That was extremely scary. We also had a lot of challenges. Officers were getting challenged more than ever, and had to constantly de-escalate situations, and they did a phenomenal job. Through the difficult year, this crew was able to pivot and persevere through new leadership, pandemic, and social unrest. They adapted to these three things, safety protocols, and they handled it with stride, and they were supportive. As we stand here, I remember a moment I had when I first became chief. I was at an event here, and I had a gentleman walk up to me, and he whispered, "Don't worry, I also support you." That was a profound moment for me. I've had people tell me they support law enforcement. I've had people say they don't support law enforcement. But to have somebody whisper it to a police chief, that was a feeling I can't describe. But as my mom says, and you know, God bless her, she's in heaven now, is you have to be patient. And you fast forward a couple months later, and I have two amazing people sitting across from me, Josh and Malia King. And now here we sit at this great event. So thank you for coming. As we in the law enforcement profession have faced increased criticism over the last year and a half, some have wanted us to be more transparent, look closer at how policing is funded, and focus on the data. While data, transparency, and police funding is important and helps one to understand what can be done better, we tend to lose sight of what numbers don't show: the compassion, the dedication, the empathy our Oregon officers show on a daily basis. There are times we have and will be underestimated, and we look forward to showing people we're ready for that challenge. We're now seeing officers across the nation questioning whether they want to remain in this profession, and worse yet, some of them taking that badge off for the last time. Those leaving law enforcement saying, "This isn't worth it, it's just not worth it." I know I have personally been asked many times how I can do what I do, and why would I ever want this job? Many, if not all of us in this profession have dug deep. Those people are behind me and dedicated to remaining in this profession. This profession is a calling. It's not meant for everyone. It takes a strong-minded, dedicated, and committed person to move forward after hearing the negative and focus on the positive. We understand our community needs us. They depend on us. They don't want, they expect us when they need help. We have and will continue to show up every single time this community needs us. While yes, there is heavy criticism of law enforcement by some, we will stand strong in our commitment and oath to protecting Oregon. We are and will continue to be the good in this profession. I want to take this as a time to thank the families of all of our first responders. On good days and bad, you have shown nothing but love and support for us. And this is what allows us to keep serving in this profession with pride. You are all amazing. You are just such great family members. I want to thank all of the organizers that very generously came together to celebrate the dedication and work we do. This is certainly something I'll never forget. I lastly want to thank our first responder partners that are here tonight, our retired first responders in the crowd, and last but not least, our amazing community leaders. I was raised to believe that time is one of the most precious things we have, and thank you for giving us your time tonight. Thank you.
Well, I don't know, I didn't have a lot to say after that, but I'm glad I didn't because that was pretty phenomenal. I don't know how else you say it, but it feels like there's a new culture, a new feeling, a new thought in the community that supports our police officers, our fire, EMS, our correctional facility brethren. We all come from different places, but we're all here together. You know, Chief Pagenkopf made a comment around, you know, people not considering maintaining their position as a police officer in any town, much less Oregon. And I had a conversation with a young man getting some supplies for my son's Eagle Scout project, and he made a comment about what he had heard about this, or maybe I mentioned it, I can't remember. And he said, you know, I really thought about going into the police force. He said, but society today, I don't think I'm going to do that. And I said, well, stop, hold up. Was this something you've always thought about doing? He said, yeah, absolutely, I always wanted to be a cop. I said, but you're not going to do it now because society looks down on that? I said, does that make any sense? I said, you've got one opportunity to make a chance and change it from the inside. We're all part of the inside here, this community. And I urged him to rethink his goals and reconsider the police department, especially coming back and being part of our police department in the town he grew up in. Because I believe in this community that's aggregated here tonight. Not knowing many other folks. You brought your family. It was great to see kids around after all the restrictions and COVID. It's fantastic to see bright, smiling, fun faces here, and I can't thank you enough for everyone that showed up to either be part of it. Ziggy's, Senor Peppers, and Pizza Pit, fantastic partners to deliver food. Everything was great about tonight. And what I'll leave you with is this, is we have one chance to cultivate a culture that we can support and we're all a part of. And I hope that's what we take a little bit away from tonight with all the speakers and everyone here. And I will say this is the inaugural event. I would love to do this next year at the same time in a similar manner. Maybe we have 200 more people. So if you've got things you want to add to this and you want to contribute, feel free to reach out to me. I'm sure it's not too hard to find me. I'm happy to do this again next year, and I don't think I would try not to do it. So thank you everyone for showing up. Thank you all the first responders. Sleep well. Your community loves you. Have a great night.